Everybody starting out on a little piece of land gets told the same two things. Get some chickens, or if you are feeling brave, get a cow. And I am here to tell you both of those. Skip right over the best first animal a beginner can put on his ground. And that animal is a sheep. You have got grass out there right now that you are burning gas to mow every weekend. Grass that is doing nothing but costing you money. And a sheep will turn that same grass into meat, into wool, into more sheep, and into the richest fertilizer your garden ever saw. And it will do it while you sit on the porch with your coffee. Meanwhile, you are down at the grocery paying $8, $9, $10 a pound for lamb and beef that Big Ag raised in a feedlot and sold back to you at a markup that would make your grandfather spit. It does not have to go that way. Stay with me, because I have got 6 reasons a sheep beats near about everything else for a beginner, and I saved the biggest one for last. The one thing that makes a sheep just about foolproof for a fellow who has never raised a living thing in his life. Before we go on, do me one small favor. Drop a comment and tell me what state you are homesteading in, and whether you have got sheep already or you are only just thinking about it. Just those 2 things. I read every one. Let me tell you first what starting with the wrong animal costs you, because it is more than you think. A beginner runs out and buys a cow, and now he is into it for $1,500 for one animal. He needs heavy fence. He needs a way to handle 1,000 pounds of beast that can hurt him without even meaning to. And if she takes sick, the vet will charge him a couple $100 before the truck door even shuts. Or he buys pigs, and now he is hauling home sacks of feed at 18, $20 a bag every single week, because a pig cannot live on grass. And the whole time his pasture just sits there. He is mowing it with a machine that eats gas and throws money. 3. $400 a year in fuel and blades and repairs to cut down the very thing that could be feeding a flock for free. That is the part that ought to bother you. You are paying good money to destroy free food. So let me walk you through the 6 reasons. Picture your own place while I do. Number 1, a sheep is small enough that a beginner can actually handle it. A cow can put you in the hospital without any meanness in her at all, just by turning the wrong way. A sheep cannot. A grown ewe runs about 150 pounds. And even when she does not care to do what you want, you can get your arms around her, set her back on her rump, trim her feet, doctor her, and she is not going to break your leg or run you through a fence. One person, man or woman, young or old, can tend a small flock alone. You do not need a squeeze chute. You do not need a strong back or a second set of hands. For somebody just starting out and a little nervous about livestock, that is everything. You get to learn on an animal that forgives your mistakes instead of one that punishes them. Number 2, they mow your land and fertilize it at the same time, and they do it for nothing. Every hour a sheep spends grazing is an hour your mower sits quiet in the shed. A few sheep will keep an acre clipped down neat as a golf course, and unlike that machine, they are not just cutting the grass. They are turning it into food and dropping fertilizer as they walk. That manure goes right back into your soil and builds it up year over year, so your pasture gets thicker and greener the longer they are on it. You are getting your grass cut, your ground fertilized, and your food raised, all in the same animal, all off sunshine and rain you are already getting for free. Number 3, they are cheap to keep, because a sheep lives on grass. This is the big one for your wallet. A sheep is a ruminant, built to take rough pasture and hay that you and I cannot eat and turn it into meat and milk. Through the green months, good grass is very near all they need. You are not hauling home a bag of feed every week like you do with hogs and chickens. In the winter, you put out hay and a little grain for the ewes that are carrying lambs. And that is about the whole of it. Compared to any animal that has to be fed out of a sack, a sheep on grass is the cheapest meat you will ever raise. Now, before I give you the last 3 reasons, I have to stop and tell you the one mistake that makes more beginners quit sheep than everything else put together. It is worms. Internal parasites. A sheep grazes with its head down close to the ground, and that is exactly where the worm larvae live. So a sheep left too long on the same patch of grass eats those worms right back up, over and over, until the parasites drag her down. The beginner does not understand what is happening. He just sees a sheep go thin and pale and weak for no reason he can name, and he loses her, and he decides sheep are too hard and he gives up. Here is the fix, and it is the whole secret. You do not leave them sitting on the same grass. You move them. You rotate them onto a fresh piece of pasture every few days and keep them off the old one long enough for the sun to kill the worms. The University of Maryland Extension Small Ruminant Program laid this out plain back in 2006, that simply rotating sheep onto clean grass cuts the worm load way down without hardly reaching for a bottle of dewormer at all. Move your sheep, and most of what kills a beginner's flock just never gets started. That one habit is the difference between somebody who quits in a year and somebody who raises sheep for the rest of his life. All right, now that you know how to keep them alive, here is the rest of why they are worth it. Number 4, one sheep gives you more than one thing. This is where they really start to earn their keep. A single flock hands you meat in the freezer, lambs to sell for cash, wool off their backs, and on the right breed, milk richer than any cows for cheese and soap. You are not raising an animal for one purpose the way you raise a meat bird. You are raising an animal that pays you back 4 or 5 different ways off the same blade of grass. When one of those markets is down, another is up. And you are never leaning your whole hope on a single thing. Number 5, they multiply and they pay you back fast. A cow gives you 1 calf a year after 9 months of waiting. A ewe carries her lambs about 5 months, and more often than not, she gives you 2 at a time, sometimes 3. So a beginner who starts with 3 or 4 ewes can be looking at a flock of 10 or a dozen inside a single year. And every one of those lambs is either meat for your table or money in your pocket at the sale barn. There is no other livestock that grows your herd and your income that quick off of grass alone. You are not just buying an animal. You are buying a little factory that builds more of itself every spring. Number 6, they are gentle and they are safe for a family. A sheep is about the calmest, most peaceable animal you can put on a homestead. There is no mean bone in a ewe. Your children can walk out among them, help bottle feed a lamb, learn to care for something without you standing there in fear that they are going to get hurt. For a family that wants to teach the young ones where their food comes from and how to tend a life, there is no better teacher than a flock of sheep. They build a beginner's confidence, and they build a child's heart, and they do it without a lick of danger. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Maybe you tried sheep once already and lost one and it soured you. Maybe you have got a big pasture just standing empty and you feel foolish for letting it sit. Or maybe you are getting on in years and you figure it is too late to start something new. None of that shuts the door on you. If you lost a sheep before, I would bet the mortgage it was worms, and now you know the move that stops it. If you have got empty ground, that is not a burden. That is free feed waiting on a flock. And if you think you are too old, a sheep is the one animal gentle and small enough that age does not stop you. It is not too late. It is exactly the right animal for right where you are standing. And now the one thing I saved for the end, the piece that makes a sheep just about foolproof for a beginner. When most folks picture a sheep, they picture wool and they picture shearing. And the thought of catching and shearing a woolly sheep once a year scares a beginner half to death. So here is the secret. You do not have to raise a wool sheep at all. There is a whole kind of sheep called a hair sheep. Breeds like the Katahdin and the Dorper, and instead of growing wool that has to be sheared, they grow a coat that they shed on their own every spring. The same as a dog does. No shearing. No hiring a shearer you cannot find. No wrestling a woolly ewe. On top of that, these hair sheep are raised for meat. They hold up to worms better than the wool breeds. And they are as hardy and easy as livestock gets. For a beginner, a few hair sheep are the closest thing there is to a livestock a man simply cannot mess up. That is the one I would put on your ground first. So let me lay it out one more time, plain and in order. A sheep is the best first animal for a beginner because, number 1, it is small enough to handle safely. Number 2, it mows and fertilizes your land for free. Number 3, it lives cheap on grass instead of bought feed. Number 4, it gives you meat, wool, milk, and lambs all at once. Number 5, it multiplies fast and pays you back inside a year. And number 6, it is gentle and safe for the whole family. Keep them moving onto fresh grass so the worms never catch up. Start with a few hair sheep so you never have to shear, and you have got about the surest first step onto a homestead there is. You were sold the idea that raising your own food is hard and expensive and only for folks born to it. That was never true. It was just more profitable for Big Ag and the grocery to have you believe you could not do it yourself, so you would keep buying meat off their counter at their price. A few sheep on a patch of grass says otherwise. You were not wrong to feel unsure about where to start. You were just never shown the simple thing. Now you have got it. So do 2 things for me before you go. First, go back to that comment box and tell me what state you are homesteading in, and whether you have got sheep already or you are only just thinking about it. I read every one, and sometimes your question turns into the next video. And second, if you would rather feed your own family than pay a stranger to do it for you, come along and sit on the fence with us. This is not about following a channel. It is a porch full of neighbors remembering the old ways one at a time. Next time I am going to show you exactly what kind of fence holds a sheep, and what kind is just a waste of your money and a week of your work. Because the wrong fence is the fastest way to lose a flock, and the feed store will happily sell you the wrong one. I will show you the fence my grandfather trusted next time. Before I let you go, I think about my grandfather Walt, walking that fence line at dusk with his few ewes trailing behind him, easy as you please, while the cattle needed watching every minute. He used to say the smallest animal on the place was the one that never gave him a hard day. Start small, start gentle, and I will see you soon.